Termites! It's night 21. Isn't that exciting? Yes, it is. Wow, the last reading was a lot going on there, huh? What are we drinking? Dulce Vida Grapefruit Tequila. And let me tell you what, for your summer drinks, this is a go-to. Hardly no carbs, I don't think, in tequila, right? And not that many calories, and it'll spice up a drink like that. It's so delicious. Be careful though, too much of it. Whoo, shoo. All right. Now we left off this confidential magazine, which was basically the Inquirer. Okay, here's the story. This one was apparently a big deal. According to the author, who called himself Horton Street, they didn't even use their real names. They're such sissies. A handsome young press agent was dispatched from New York to Akron, Ohio, to hype a 4th of July extravaganza that would feature stock car races, fireworks, and Liberace. Ticket sales had been languishing. Yeah, he's not like a 4th of July guy. No, you're going to have stock car races? You expect those people to give a shit about Liberace? No. And the press agent organized an airport extravaganza to greet Liberace on his July 3rd arrival. All went well, the story continued, until the press agent was alone with Liberace in a suite at the Sheraton Mayflower Hotel. "Whatever you want, I'm your boy," said the young man. After they had a drink together, he found Liberace sitting on his lap. A wrestling match ensued. These are adults. Or as my dad would call it, a wrestling match. Once, during the scuffle, the press agent leapt out a yelp of pain, and no wonder. For Lucius Libby, it was a strict no-holds-barred. Finally, with a combination of a wrist lock and flying mare, the publicity man wrenched loose from the host's embrace and fled from the suite, leaving Liberace sprawled on the floor. End of story? Not yet. Because of litigation concerning the show, the press agent later had to fly to California to obtain Liberace's signature. Liberace insisted on taking the emissary to dinner at Trader Vic's and later made advances in his car, the one with the piano key upholstery. Liberace wouldn't sign the releases, and the press agent followed him to Dallas, where the star was appearing in The Great Waltz. The Akron incident was replayed in the Dallas suite. The floor show reached its climax when Dimples, by sheer weight, pinned his victim to the mat and mewed in his face, "Gee, you're cute when you're mad." Okay, I don't really understand anything that's going on here. The match ended when the press agent's friend, instructed beforehand, burst into the suite like the U.S. cavalry riding to the rescue in the nick of time. The press agent's lesson: hit the road when a client tries to turn public relations into private relations. Holy Jesus. All the Liberace's advisors agreed that the scurrilous article coming in the wake of the Cassandra attack had to be answered immediately. John Jacobs filed suit against the Confidential. Robert Harrison, Horton Street, a publishing house and distributor, a research company, plus Doe corporations and individuals for $25 million in libel damages because of the article, "Why Liberace's theme song Should Be Mad About the Boy." The complaint termed the article malicious, false, libelous, defamatory, degrading, and unprivileged, and it claimed it had subjected Liberace's family to public scandal, embarrassment, disgrace, contempt, and ridicule. Press reports of the suit did not disclose the nature of the article, since editors considered it unsuitable for family newspapers. Besides, repeating a libel might itself be grounds for a damaging suit. Right. Yeah, you can't just keep rewriting the shit that you're being sued over. Well, other people are being sued over. Liberace told his troubles with Confidential to a Los Angeles grand jury investigating charges of criminal libel against the magazine. Also testifying was Maureen O'Hara, whose Irish temper had been inflamed by a Confidential article alleging she had a romp with a Mexican boyfriend in the back seat of Grauman's Chinese Theater. She also sued the magazine for libel. The grand jury indicted Confidential. Boom! Harrison and the others on the grounds of criminal libel. This was the result of pressure by studio bosses on California politicians to rid the state's most celebrated industry of an evil that threatened to destroy it. For 2 long months, I reported the trial as one Hollywood figure after another took the witness stand to testify how Confidential's outrageous lies had caused them immense grief. The trial ended in a 14-day jury deadlock, but the issue was resolved when Harrison agreed to stop delving into movie stars' private lives in Confidential. Yeah, Liberace should have kept going, and he did. Liberace persisted in his libel lawsuit and proved that he was not in Dallas at the time the alleged incident took place. Confidential finally settled by paying him $40,000. No, I'd have gone higher than that. Liberace said after his legal costs were paid, he would donate the remainder to charity. Good guy. The specter of the Cassandra case hung over Liberace's head for almost 3 years, requiring all the teachings of Claude M. Bristol to prevent it from depressing his spirit. That's that guy who wrote that book. When at the time of the libel trial finally arrived in June 1959, Liberace had psyched himself into believing that his suit amounted to a crusade against the malicious wrongdoing of the irresponsible press. Also, he was convinced his vindication would silence the horrid innuendos that followed him everywhere. I don't think so. I think you should go at them because they're making shit up, but I don't think it's going to stop it. His interest on the opening day of the trial was as shrewdly calculated as any of his stage appearances, I bet. He arrived at the Queen's Bench Division Court in London alone and unattended, wearing a conservative tailored blue suit, white shirt, and plain tie. So none of these outfits, which is a good thing. Although I think it would have been funny if he arrived in that suit with the monkey and just never address it. Just sit there with your monkey and answer questions. They would just be funny. I don't think it'd be a great idea, but for fun. Representing the plaintiff was a veteran of the London courts, Gilbert Beefus. He began by observing that Cassandra, the Trojan princess whose warnings of misfortune were disbelieved, and was a curious and somewhat somber nom de plume for William Connor, albeit an appropriate one. Beefus traced the life and career of Liberace, beginning with his birth to a French horn player and a former concert pianist. He outlined the family's hard depression times and told of a boy's devotion to his mother, who had nursed him through life-threatening pneumonia and saved his poisoned finger from amputation. All true. Although his father, disillusioned by the failure of his own music career, wanted Walter to become an undertaker. Oh, God. I mean, if you own the funeral parlor, yeah. But if not, that's kind of weird. The boy persisted in his piano studies. The long years of patient work paid off, and by 1951 he was earning $50,000 a year. Then came the television and the fateful engagement at the Hollywood Bowl when he wore the white tails, and the fancy wardrobe followed. Before we jeer at the American public for enjoying this added glamour, remember that less than 150 years ago, in the Regency period, men dressed up, and one of the greatest arts was that of tying a necktie. In these days of somewhat drab and dreary male clothing, remember the guards at Buckingham Palace. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty gay hats, right? Let's just throw that out there. The horse guards at Whitehall. I don't know that. The beefeaters at the Tower of London. Yes, I've been there. I've seen them. They look fabulous. It's super over the top, though. The uniforms of the Privy Councillors, the Knights of the Garter, the Peers of the Realm. Look at the hunt ball, when tough hunting men prance around in pink coats and silk lapels of different colors. Some add dignity, some add glamour. Look at me, my lord, and my learned friends, dressed in accordance with old traditions. Why do we not dress like this in ordinary daily life? We do not dress like this in ordinary daily life, nor does Liberace. Beefus went on to recount Liberace's arrival in England, with the picket signs like, "We hate Liberace, Charlie Kuntz forever." Kuntz. Much laughter in the courtroom. Then he read the screed by Cassandra. He concluded by saying he did not intend to paint William Connor as a buffoon. No, he saw Connor as a literary assassin. Assassin. Come on. A literary assassin. How over the top is that? Anything assassin. A literary assassin who dips his pen in vitriol, hired by this sensational newspaper to murder reputations and hand out sensational articles on which circulation is built. I call Mr. Liberace to the stand. The court stirred with anticipation as the stern-faced Liberace made his way to the witness box. Under his counsel prompting, he recounted meeting with Paderewski, the introduction of the candelabra and the gaudy clothes. When other entertainers copied his garb, he testified, "That was flattering, but it meant that, being considered a top man, I had to dress better than the others that were copying me. One was a young man named Elvis Presley, who was coming up at the time." He added that when he returned to Las Vegas was with gold lame. And yeah, come on. Elvis went gold lame. Remember, it's a famous picture. When he added that when he returned to Vegas with his gold lame jacket, he was told, "That's old stuff. You wore it last year. You've got to get something new." So he devised a black tail suit with diamond-studded buttons worth $10,000. Oh, my God, they have the court transcript. When you came to England in 1956, you had reached the summit of your career in the United States? It was presumed by many I had. How did the Cassandra article affect you? I was deeply shocked, and my only thought at the time was that it would certainly have to be kept from my mother. I felt this so strongly because my mother has a hypertensive heart condition. Further, I know she's extremely proud of her children, perhaps a bit more of me. Whoa, what about Georgie? Where'd pudding pie? And Angie? You're just going to throw them down there? Maybe. It was brought to her attention by someone. She immediately became very ill and was attended by a physician. It was decided by everyone concerned with her welfare that she leave the country. Are you a homosexual? No, sir. Well, how at the gate do you just... I guess things were different back then. He didn't even ask anything more about... Okay. The defense counsel, Gerald Garnier, rose to protest. There is no suggestion and never has been anything of the kind, Beefus replied. The defense is that the comment is fair. He continued with the witness. Have you ever indulged in homosexual practices? No, sir, never in my life. I'm against the practice because it offends convention and offends society. Liberace told of the shouts of queer and fairy at his English concerts following Cassandra article and how they upset him as well as the audience. Was there anything sexy about your performances at all? I am not aware of it if it exists. I am almost positive that I could hardly refer to myself as a sexy performer. I've tried in all my performances to inject a note of sincerity and wholesomeness. I'm fully aware of the fact that my appeal on television and personal appearances is aimed directly at family audience. Well, exactly. Did you ever tell what we know as dirty stories? What the fuck does that even mean? I've never known to tell any so-called dirty stories. I have tons of experiences that happened to me that might have been termed as double meaning in referring to some of my sponsors. Among them was a very famous paper company who made their products make toilet tissue, who among their products make toilet tissues. I mentioned them among my sponsors and the audience found it very funny, but the audience in no way found it offensive. The defense counsel, Gerald Gardner, took over cross-examination. In response to his question, Liberace testified that he earned $1 million from TV and concerts and had other income from records, piano course instructions. Wow, he's still giving piano lessons? All right. And real estate. He had more than 200 fan clubs in the United States. Wow, that's a lot to manage. Received between 6,000 and 10,000 fan letters a week and 27,000 Valentines. Also, an average of 12 marriage proposals a week. Wow. Including one from a lady who offered to put down $200,000. Well, that's the question. Including one from a lady who offered to put down $200,000? Yes. Garner bore in the fact that the American publicity agent had come to England to prepare for Liberace's appearances. Is it true that you told him or his organization that you should be showered with bouquets when you landed in Southampton and that you wanted to have the pier swept immediately so other passengers would not have to step over them? No. So you never had the pier swept at all? No. Liberace admitted that at Southampton, women were screaming, sobbing, throwing themselves forward to kiss the window of his train compartment, and people lined the track en route to catch a glimpse of him on his way to London. At the Waterloo station, mounted police were required to handle the crowd. Liberace commented that he had been a controversial figure ever since he started on television. Music critics attacked his playing, whereas he received generally good reviews before television. So TV, he thinks, was taking him down a little bit, maybe. Because before the TV, you couldn't see him winking at his mom and the stuff I liked. I thought it was hilarious. My brother would do it if he had to, because he's my mom's favorite. I could totally see him doing that and going over the top with it. I quote an article from the Daily Sketch that says, even bankers behave like Bobby Soxers at your concerts. You wouldn't suggest that meant you were a homosexual? No, sir. Are the words nausea and emetic common in criticisms of you? I would not say so. There have been articles in which these words appear. If you say so, I don't doubt your word. In Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, a work which takes a concert pianist 20 minutes to play, approximately 17 minutes. On television, you play it in 4 minutes flat. I play an excerpt of the Moonlight Sonata, and it lasts about 4 minutes. In Tchaikovsky's piano number 1, I can't say that word right ever. I know you guys have already told me. Concerto. Number 1, a piece in 153 pages of music? Yes, sir. When you play it, you usually play the first 12 pages, the last 11, and 4 bars in the middle that aren't even there? That is true, sir. Gardner mentioned the concert pianists Semprini and Liberace admitted never having heard of him. Great, because I haven't either. That makes me happy. Finally, me and Liberace are at the same level here. When Garnier compared Semperini's playing to Liberace's, the witness remarked, evidently, he doesn't do it so successfully. Boom! Mic drop. Good answer. The defense attorney seized upon this. That is a very pertinent answer. He doesn't have a fan club or his mother on stage like you. Fucking what do you care? I can't make a comparison since I haven't seen his performance. Excellent answer. Under questioning, Liberace agreed that his wardrobe included 60 suits and 80 pairs of shoes. He did not recall the Time magazine article that referred to him as the musical momist. He admitted that a booklet, the Liberace story published for the English tour, had several misquotations and added he had never even met the author. But you signed a foreword saying it was authentic in every detail. That was done by my secretary. This is a deliberate imitation of your signature? Yes. She does it very well. Then everybody laughed. Why does this booklet and other publicity say you were born in 1920 when you were in fact born in 1919? We find it desirable to make the birth date a round figure. I borrowed the idea from Jack Benny. Okay, that's the end of the court testimony, so we'll stop there. But I love him just going back at him. I guess he doesn't do it successfully. Exactly. Go for you, as my friend Rocky Laporte would say to Liberace. Go for you. All right, termites, pull up your spring sheets. Everybody's getting loose. It's great. It's going to be a lot of fun. This summer, I even just saw New York City is going to be open July 1st. So cheers to all my little pals in New York. It'll be hot as shit, but you'll have a wonderful summer, right? Exactly. I will be probably on an inner tube with a bush light in the Ozarks, if you're looking for me this summer. But I do have some shows. Reno, you guys coming? Selbyville, Delaware. I've never been there, but I'm very excited. There's a secret one I can't announce. Huntsville, Alabama. That's right. I got you. And then it's the fall, it really gets started. But summer, there's some fun things out there if you guys are dying to come see a comedy show. I think I can remember my act. I'll give it a whirl before I get out there. I would hate for you to pay and me just stand there and go, I got nothing. All right, termites, pull up your spring sheets. You're a good termite. You're a springtime termite. And that's it. Night, night, termites.